Story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Thank you for joining us on CoreTV News this hour. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. The governors of all Progressives Congress under the aegis of the Progressives Governors Forum has condemned in strong terms the dwindling allocation coming to states from the federal account. Rising from a meeting in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, the governors asked the federal government to make available to states the allocation in order not to ground governors. They also back consensus candidacy for with the party's primary just around the corner. Rashid was in Ilorin and filed in the support.
With the raising of the alarm by the governor of Niger State over the inability of the federal government to make available the October allocation to states, the Progressive Governors Forum laments the dwindling monthly federal allocation and calls on the federal government to provide the money to avoid breakdown of governance in their states.
Again, we looked at the dwindling resources of the states coming from FAC and monthly allocation, and which has made it imperative that most states may not afford to pay salaries as a result of these dwindling resources. We refuse to accept the fact that this nation is broke. What is due to states as revenue should be paid to the states. This idea of cutting down what should go to states does not in any way promote democracy and democratic dividends.
The APC governors also endorsed the much-touted consensus candidacy expected to be settled for by the leadership of the party in arriving at its presidential candidate for the 2015 presidential election.
Our forum is in full support of consensus as one of the ways to produce our presidential candidate or any candidate in the party for as long as is done with regards to respect to internal democracy. There was no imposition in our party, and our party has not adopted any candidate yet, neither has the Governors Forum adopted any candidate. But we shall encourage consensus and dialogue within the leadership of the party.
The governors unanimously expressed full support for the party leadership and vowed to take over the reign of power at the center come 2015.
So we, the APC governors, are in full support of the activities of our party and assures Nigerians that we shall provide for them a credible presidential candidate that will steer the affairs of this nation in 2015.
This is coming against the backdrop of the state governors alleging starvation of funds by the federal government, and the federal government also denying that the nation is broke. Nigerians, as usual, are watching the development with keen interest. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
The Progressives Governors Forum also held a valedictory session for former Governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, who stepped down from the helms of affairs on the 16th of October 2014. Rashid has the details.
In an emotion-laden speech delivered by the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Rochas Okorocha, on behalf of his colleagues, Fayemi was praised for his maturity during the post-election period in Ekiti till his last day as the governor of the state.
On behalf of the governors of all the Progressive Congress, salute you for a commendable show of character and a successful tenure in office, having handed over the office to the Ekiti State Governor on Thursday, 16th October 2014. Acknowledging that you have great vision for the state with the achievements you record.
Fayemi thanked the forum for the opportunity given to him to serve while in their midst as a governor and deeming it fit to hold a session in his honor.
For the solidarity that you've extended to me as a member of this forum and as a governor of Ekiti State. It's a real privilege to serve our people in any capacity.
The governors, while bidding their former colleague a goodbye, assured him of their unflinching support.
Let me assure you on behalf of the progressive governors that you are one of us and will remain with us. JKF, I want to say to you, we love you. We shall still be with you. And the spirit of the progressive is remain unshakable. And together, we shall continue to work for the benefit of the common man of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
On behalf of Ekiti APC supporters, Fayemi again thanked the forum as he stated that APC business in the politics of the country has just started.
On my part and on the part of our members from Ekiti State, we're grateful to this forum. We're grateful to you for the consistent role you have played as beacons of democracy. And I can say with every certainty that the best is yet to come for this party.
Though out as a governor, the assurance given by the forum will, in the eyes of political watchers at the Ilorin meeting, serve as a bond and inspiration that he remains a key figure in the scheme of things as far as politics in the APC is concerned. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
Kano State Governor and presidential aspirant on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, Rabiu Kwankwaso, says he is not under pressure to step down or accept a consensus agreement. He maintained that presidential primary is the best way to pick an acceptable candidate, while again noting that the opposition lost previous presidential elections because of its process of choosing a flag bearer. The Kano State Governor, who spoke with a select team of journalists in his office, enjoined the APC leadership to avoid the mistake of adopting a consensus presidential candidate. We'll bring you details of that later on. Political parties across the divide have been very active as preparations ahead of the 2015 general elections intensify. The group also that there had been rancor rather in these parties, and they have also been picking up declaration of intent and nomination forms as the 2015 general elections draw near. Now, the situation is not different in the camp of the Lagos APC, as its vice chairman Funsho Ologunde says all is set now to ensure the success of the party in the 2015 general elections.
We already have a membership register that we will use to conduct the primaries, and the party leadership is already putting together measures to set up committees to lay on the necessary arrangements for the primaries. There are two forms that are being sold to aspirants. The first form is the declaration of intention form, and then the second form is the nomination form. At the end of the day, not all the people that collected declaration of intention forms would come round to apply for the nomination forms and complete them duly and return. So there may be, it will not be out of place to have a discrepancy, to have more nomination forms sold. I mean, to have more declaration of intention forms sold than nomination forms.
A cross-section of Nigerians of northern extraction said the Northern Elders Forum does not have the mandate of the region to stop President Jonathan from contesting the 2015 presidential election. Speaking at the news conference in Abuja, the group known as Transformation Agenda Solidarity Forum likened statements credited to the Northern Elders as a threat to the corporate existence of the country. The group also insisted that President Goodluck Jonathan has done well to deserve a second term in office.
Northerners are not in any way against the re-election of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR. And they are not even the latest threat or blackmail by Professor Ango Abdullahi and co-travelers can stop the president from presenting himself for a well-deserved re-election come 2015. Indeed, TASOP and good Nigerians support the endorsement of President Ebele Jonathan by all PDP governors and all PDP stakeholders.
President David Mack has dismissed reports that the People's Democratic Party Integration Committee for the Southwest is plotting to impose a candidate, a governorship candidate on the Oyo State chapter of the party. A group of PDP members named Rescue Team 2015 had claimed that the David Mack-led Integration Committee was keen on imposing a candidate on the state. Speaking at the meeting with PDP leaders from Oyo State at the banquet hall of the presidential villa in Abuja, the Senate president insisted that the committee has no interest in choosing a flag bearer for them. He informed the gathering that party members in the state are to choose a candidate they are convinced is popular enough to defeat the incumbent governor. And ahead of the 2015 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has advised members of the public to shun the temptation of double registration. INEC gave this advice in a statement by its head of protocol and publicity in Rivers State, Antonia Onwobi, on Wednesday. It warned that double registration remained an offense punishable by law. The Commission said it would begin the issuance of permanent voter card in the 4,442 polling units in Rivers State on Friday, November 7, and end the exercise on Sunday, November 9, 2014. It directed those that had lost their temporary voter cards to go to the polling units with a national identity card, international passport, or driving license. We'll take a break now on the news, and I'll be back with more stories. Don't go away.
Glad to have you join us on another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you, that means you are wicked to the people.
They gave me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before he perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of our own state and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly, and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTV News.
Welcome back. You can also reach us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. Get to watch our news and programs on YouTube now. It's trendy on youtube.com/CoreTV with a space and news. President Goodluck Jonathan has performed a minor reshuffle of the cabinet to fill the vacancies created by ministers who resigned to seek elective positions. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Nuruddin Mohammed, now takes over as the supervising Minister of Information, pending the appointment of a replacement for Labaran Mako. Minister of Special Duties, Tamino Turaki, is to add the Minister of Labour and Productivity to his schedule, while Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Vaula Onwuliri, takes over as the substantive Minister of State for Education. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Stephen Oru, will combine his responsibilities with those of the Minister of State in the same ministry, same as Minister of Trade and Investment Olusegun Aganga and Defense Minister Aliyu Gusau, who will have to fill roles vacated by the Ministers of State. The House of Representatives has approved President Goodluck Jonathan's request for a $1 billion loan to fight insurgency in the country. This was after considering the report of the joint committees that was mandated to look into the request. The committees urged the House to ensure that the government does not borrow more than the amount it said it required to fight national security challenge, and the members subsequently approved it. The Senate approved the loan request several weeks ago. The police authorities have begun a nationwide audit of all its armories. This, according to the police, is to review the current state of arms and ammunition at all commands, formations, units, and stations. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu said in a statement that it was based on a directive from Inspector General Sulaiman Abba. He added that the move is part of measures to strengthen accountability of the stock of weaponry of the Nigeria Police. Meanwhile, the police have also set up a task force on cattle rustling and associated crimes. The team is to be headed by an assistant commissioner of police and will have tactical units in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu says the task force is saddled with the responsibility of preemptive intelligence gathering as well as engaging in anti-cattle rustling and allied crimes patrols. It's also to carry out investigation and possibly prosecute reported cases of cattle rustling. The latest police move comes against the backdrop of recent cases of cattle rustling in northern Nigeria that have led to clashes between farmers and herdsmen. A federal high court in Abuja has fixed December 1st for judgment in the extradition request filed by the federal government against the former managing director of the Nigeria Security Printing and Minting Company, Ehidiame Okoyomo. The government is seeking to extradite Okoyomo to Britain to face trial over an alleged bribery case, but the accused person, through its counsel, Alex Zion, is challenging the court's jurisdiction. Zion insists that the court has no reference point in Nigeria where it can draw strength to grant the application. The prosecution, however, argues that there are valid grounds to extradite the former meat herdsman to Britain. Okoyomo's extradition is being sought by the British government over his alleged role in the 750 million naira bribery allegation involving central bank officials, the Mint, and an Australian firm between 2006 and 2008.
There is no domesticated treaty between the United Kingdom and Nigeria on extradition. And that if you take a cursory look at all the provisions, except it's clear, you cannot do an extradition just that way. That was the crux of our objection and the substance of our own main case, which they responded. I think that was really the issue today, where they said we have a extradition treaty of 1931, and we said 1966 repealed that. And under our law, constitution, before you enter into any treaty, before that treaty can become binding, it must be domesticated by our own local law, by our constitution. They become part of our law.
The matter is already in open court, and you have seen what we have argued on about. So what am I going to say again?
The mess that has become the lot of most Nigerian roads has from time now registered its presence on the route leading to the popular Riverview Estate, Isheri North in Ifo local government area of Ogun State. The deplorable condition of the road has left the residents and businesses in the community regretting their investments in the area. CoreTV News crew met with some residents of the community who shared their daily experiences through hell in this report.
The rise in population in Nigeria has resulted in pressure for the provision of basic social amenities. Naturally, it is expected of the government to provide such needs like housing, roads, among others, for the people. In this part of the world, housing is majorly a private affair, and in the case of the residents of Isheri North, Ifo local government area of Ogun State, housing has been solely a private affair. But governments seem to be lagging in other infrastructural duties. This looks beautiful, the Riverview Estate, but the roads passing through this multi-million naira estate and others in the vicinity is better imagined than experienced. Although the roads from the estate leading all the way to the Ishari market was started during the Gbenga Daniel administration, the whole area, according to residents, has not experienced government presence since change in governance, as several efforts, according to them, to reach relevant authorities have proven abortive. They claim that the community service put in place to address the issue, although expensive, has brought little results.
Oh, well, I'm one of the pioneer residents of this place. So this estate started 2006. So it's hell. You can see the cars. It's as if you've gone to swim in the mud. Well, it's not just the road. Everything you've seen here is the effort of the residents. Electricity, the road, even this year, we filled everything here. And brought in bulldozer, brought in grader, brought in compressor, but this is the issue. So we've written to government, as we know that Gbenga Daniel's regime started this place. So, and when we observed the quality of work they were doing, then in 2007 we wrote him and they said, look, this place is going to be a mess because of the quality of job, and since that time they just abandoned us. And when the new government came, we've written them, they've not acknowledged our...
But why will anybody acquire land in such a challenging environment as the Ishari North? Abayomi Akinde, who is the chairman, Landlord Association, was quick to defend the residents.
There is nobody who, will put his investment, his money, in a risky place. If we knew that there is a problem here, nobody would have invested here. This estate was sold to us, the land here was sold to us by the government of Ogun State. All of us got our certificate of occupancy. So if anybody is to be blamed, if there is any problem, I think the problem lies squarely on the shoulder of the government of Ogun State. Because we didn't go out of our way to, to buy land from these speculators or moneyless. We bought from the government. Government sold this land to us. We paid development levies to the government of Ogun State. They sold the land to us, gave us a approved building plan without even advising the residents that, look, this is the specification, you must raise your building to this particular height because there is a problem in this topography. They didn't do that. Any plan you submit to the Ministry of Physical Planning, provided you pay them, they are going to approve. Yes, development levy varies from house to house or from plot to plot, depending on the size of your plot. But the minimum development levy here is 1.2 million.
There is an allegation that the government has distanced itself because it claims the area is water-plagued, whereas the government has also proposed an estate just opposite the Riverview estate. CoreTV News went on a trip to Abeokuta to get government's response after several calls and messages sent got no response from all quarters. CoreTV News, however, gathered that both the Commissioner and Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Works, were not on seat. The roads have not only been abandoned, the ones leading to the Ishari market have become workshops and parking lots for heavy-duty vehicles and faulty cars. Could this be a crisis of difference in the blueprints of different administrations? If the Amoso administration is not identifying with the former projects, despite its promise to rebuild, does this also mean these residents have not been responsible to the government in their taxes?
Yes, like all this receipt that I have in my hand is the receipt that we used to pay trade permit and the local government trade fees every year. And also the tax, Ogun State tax revenues.
Another election year is fast approaching. New campaigns, new promises. But the people of Ishari North are asking, where are the dividends of the past years? Ebulomo Adekunle, CoreTV News, Ogun.
That wraps up this hour on CoreTV News. Do join us again at the top of the hour for more stories. I'm Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.